Hey, what's up, people? Welcome back to the RCBian Chelsea Fan TV. Well, I am in a happy mood, and I have to be, right? It's Romelu Lukaku Part 2 scoring on debut. It couldn't have gone better, right? The script was just perfect, and it was against Arsenal, our London rivals, at their home, right? As in, beat that. Perfect start to the Premier League season, and we had to do a quick review and just emote what we feel, right? As in, I have a great panel as well. But before that, let me pick up a few people quickly in the chat who have joined on time, and thanks for that. Definitely Chelsea Perspective, who is here. Big up to you. And Anish Thomas, thank you for joining. Big up to you as well. And we have obviously Jade. Great win, absolutely buzzing. And I know Jade is a Liverpool fan. Great start for you as well. So congratulations there as well, and anyone else as well. Like, definitely, we are in a great mood. And yes, I was talking about the panel, right? So of course, it's been a while that we have two, Chelsea brothers here in McKyle. Firstly, McKyle, how are you?
Hi there, Ankit. I'm well. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Like, it's been a while, I know, but yeah, I think this is a perfect occasion for you to be back, because I think this is what we were waiting for. The Premier League, that is basically, as in, the real business, right? And we are back, and hopefully with a bang, and it'll continue. And yes, great to have you again. And Mikhail, I think, guys, people who watched earlier episodes of RCB and Chelsea Fan TV know that Mikhail has been coming on, and I think we did a couple of Euros shows as well, which was great. The links are below, and Mikhail's socials are below as well. Mikhail is active these days on social media, so please go and give him a follow. And yeah, as in, a great head, with the Chelsea knowledge there. Like, for me, it's always great to discuss with you, and yeah, pleasure to have you again, mate.
Thanks for the
As
kind
I
words.
Sure. And as I say that, another person, and I feel exactly the same, if not more, that is Bobby. Bobby, welcome back to the stream. It's been a real long while for you as well, but I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity to discuss football with you. How are you?
Hi, Ankit. Thanks for having me on. Greetings to McKyle and Scott, who I've not met before, but it's always a pleasure anytime I can come on your channel.
Right, right. That's Steven, by the way, but yes, pleasure to have you
Oh,
as well.
Steve. Right.
Yes, perfect. No, no worries. And yes, as we say that, Steven, we have an Arsenal fan, and big up to him for actually turning up after the loss. Yes, Steven, I think SFeatley TV is, a channel that doesn't require a lot of introduction. But yes, Steven, welcome to the stream. And I couldn't have asked, anything else for you, other than just coming up for an Arsenal versus Chelsea game. How are you, buddy?
I'm used to this by now.
I'm really sorry, but yeah, and then you know what? We had kind of wanted to discuss football for a long while on my channel. I
Mm.
know we've been doing in your channel, but I think Arsenal versus Chelsea, you had to come on, mate. As in, whatever it was, and again, respect for you to come on, and we will discuss a lot of things. But yeah, commiserations, if I may say so. But I think what follows will probably not be that a lot of discussion. But yeah, I'll probably start off with Steven, because I think we'll talk about the first point. So we are talking about the review. In maybe we'll discuss 3 points. Firstly, would be obviously the strategy, what Arsenal took, what Chelsea took, right? So I'll try and share my screen. Firstly, Stephen, this is basically just to see what Arsenal started with, and I believe, like, for me, the way we had predicted the starting 11 would be, or the formation would be. Did that surprise you that did not go three at the back against Chelsea?
No, it's exactly what I would well, it's exactly what I wanted to see. Actually,
Hmm.
I wanted to see Martinelli up front. I wanted to see him get a chance actually up front this time.
Okay.
If I would have rather have had Pepe on the left rather than Saka. I don't know why he's put them the other way around. But that's kind of like the team I could have gone for. With that, we couldn't really go for it at the back because the amount of injuries. Gabriel was not fit. Ben White was out with probably COVID as well. So, and
Right.
um, yeah, and the only other centre back we've let go on loan, which is Saliba. So it sort of pinned us into doing a back four. So
Yeah,
that's the
then
best
fair,
we
fair
can go
enough.
with.
Fair enough, but yeah, as in the reason why I said like I was a bit surprised personally, if you ask me, because for me, like again, what worked for Arsenal in the previous games against us was the fact the low block, which is something that I was surprised that Arsenal are attacking in the beginning few minutes. I think they went for it in the first 10 minutes. I don't know if Chelsea were on purpose, just waiting to watch what Arsenal plays, and then, as in we all know what happened, right? As in,
Yeah, I mean, you all took control after 10 minutes after working out what we were doing, and that's the thing. This I don't know what Arsenal does anymore. I just don't know what they do. I don't know the pattern of play. I don't know what style they want to play in. I don't know whether they want to be defensive or to be attacking. This manager's got no clue what he's doing at all. And if anyone is brave enough to come and explain it to me of what Arsenal are doing and how they play, by all means, any Arteta fan, come and explain it to me because I ain't got a clue. Because you won't be able to work it out, honestly.
right. I think even before the match, he just said that we have to go for it and we have nothing to lose. But and that's what he did in the first 10 minutes. But then, as in, I really don't know what happened. Was it Chelsea attacking, or was it Arsenal not having that experience to basically up it up? Because I think in the
It's
central midfield they did well, right? With Lokonga, I think he had a great start.
the Congo had a good. The Congo was decent. Xhaka is just his usual self, which is crap. Right?
Right.
It's absolutely appalling. This guy is supposed to have the captain's armband as well. This is the great thing about it, right? But yeah, Arsenal. As much as Chelsea was great, I'm not taking everything away from Chelsea in a minute, but Arsenal were just appalling in the midfield from Xhaka, and Lukaku can't do it himself, so I'm not going to put blame on him. They were the right hand side. Both goals that came from the right hand side. Right, Tierney was getting exposed. Pablo Mari was getting spun, so it meant Tierney had to come narrow to try and protect him, and it just left so much space on the right hand side for you to just have free will, and that's how the two goals came about. You lot were playing second and third gear. If you really wanted to take it, you would have annihilated us, absolutely tore us a new one, because
Exactly.
our defense. We're supposed to have a new defensive coach. Does it look like we've got a defensive coach? Whoever it is must be taken outside and shot for trying to impersonate one.
Good one there. Yeah, as in, I get exactly what you're feeling like,
The
and
defense
that's
is
something.
exactly like Arsenal at the minute, a shambles. That's what
Yeah.
it is. A
True that.
shambles.
Right. Anyway, I'll go to Bobby because I'll just have to quickly share the Chelsea 11, Bobby. Again, like I think we almost predicted this in the preview that we did. Guys, if you didn't watch, you can just go below and click on the link. And we did almost, I think 9 out of 10 we got it right. I think 10 out of 11. Sorry, right? As in, so Bobby, I think Chalobah not starting, right? Did it surprise you, or it's expected, right, in the big game? What do you think?
It didn't particularly surprise me. Thomas Tuchel has options, and he chose a sort of mixture of the old guard and those that did it for him last season at the back. The team's very balanced now. The arrival of Lukaku has given us a different dimension, which Arsenal really struggled with. And apart from the usual weakness of not being able to take long range shots from midfield, because some of the pops that Kovacic was taking was quite comical, to say the least. I have no surprises from this team. There's not much he could have put out there that would have been wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Like obviously, N'Golo Kante, I think wasn't like 100% fit, or probably we didn't want to take a chance. So I think that is fair enough as well, right? Because I think, as you mentioned, Kovacic, but the fact that Conte early on the season, probably we wouldn't want to risk him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he brought on Conte at the right time.
Yeah.
What interests me most, if I may, is if I could say something about Arsenal, really.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's I can understand the frustration of their fans, to be honest. If it comes to money, Arsenal have spent huge sums of money. Their net spend over the past 5 years is far greater than Chelsea's. Their current spend is 30 million greater, and their yearly net spend is double, and their wage bill is humongous. So it's not money that's the problem. It's not even players. They've got young players. They're looking ahead to the future. And those players they have out there are physical. They're quite physical players. Their problem, quite simply, is the coach. Now, if they want a model, a futuristic model to build the team around, I think they would be better off with the guy that was managing Bournemouth than at Arteta, because at least that guy is a proper manager and
Eddie
he
Howe, right?
understands.
I can give you another one. Graham Potter. Look at the amount of chances he creates. Give him a
Yeah,
striker.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
keep saying this, but because the problem is, I'm sorry to cut you wrong, cut in there. It's just the problem is we've got a fan base that says, "Oh, he's fighting with Brighton, so he's crap." Well, that doesn't make anything, does it? Right? You want to stick with Arteta? This guy couldn't. This guy couldn't run a bath. Honestly, he couldn't. And
I think the problem with Arsenal is the club culture.
but
You know,
also
Chelsea are heavily criticised for their ruthlessness with managers. But to be honest, that is the source of their success. And Arsenal could well do
You
with a
don't
little
have
less patience.
you don't have any empathy for any players. If they're not playing well, they go. Simple.
Yeah.
Right? If they're not
Well,
performing, they go. Simple.
Certainly not for managers, for sure.
Well, yeah, but even then, you've won titles. People moan about how Chelsea do it, but I'm like, yeah, but they've won a Champions League. Would you want to win a Champions League? Yes. So what are you moaning about? So, and this, as much as you say it's not just about the coaching problem, it's still a board and an owner problem, because the board have not spent the money right. We've spent 130 mil this season, most than any other club, and we're worse. We're worse. And I keep saying it, we're worse. Arsenal fans might like to avoid avoid that fact, but we are. And because we can't even defend against Chelsea now. We used to be able to do it last season. We can't do it this season. So we've spent all that and we're worse. So that means there's a board problem as well as an owner problem. Because if the board can't spend that amount of money and still not make the team any greater than it is, and probably worse because of all the players, all the teams around them getting better by buying, even though they spent less, that means the owner's got a board that doesn't care.
Right.
And it all stems to the top. If you don't care from the top, it goes to the board, and then goes to the manager, it goes to the players. Because then the players are like, well, the board and the owners don't care, so what's the point of me playing? Because I ain't going to win anything. Just go for the motions.
Absolutely, well
That's the
said,
culture
guys.
at
But-
Arsenal.
So I'll just get in McKyle quickly, because McKyle sees the comment, right? Obviously, we're talking about the board and the management here, but I think McKyle, would you go with this? Like, if Arteta and Ole are sacked from the current clubs, they will not be in a top flight team for the remainder of the managerial career. I think this is a bit overboard, but probably immediately it might be so, right? As in, at least Arteta, like for me, I probably agree with that.
Only time will tell. It's kind of bittersweet, mixed fortunes between Chelsea and Arsenal. Back in December, it was Arteta that was sitting on the brink of getting the boot. Had Chelsea beat them, and we saw what happened that day, and the rest is history. So in a way, they did us a favor too. No disrespect to anybody, but it's funny how things work out. Now you look back at Arsenal after today's result, maybe a little bit harshly, perhaps, but I thought that they looked decent. They didn't look great, but they seem to always find another gear when they're facing Chelsea. So their pressing was good. They looked like they could get in behind us quite a few times. They were able to get on the ball and get in behind. It took desperate last minute tackles for us to get the ball off in several situations. So it could have gone a different way. Maybe the narrative could have been different. But in the bigger scheme of things, yes, I do agree that someone like an Eddie Howe maybe would suit where this club wants to go, especially with the amount of young players that that took the field today. They are trying something different because they also have Willian and I don't know if David Luiz is still there, but they also have that older crop of players, quote unquote, on the book.
David Luiz is gone.
Yeah, so
Okay.
great
Not
point there,
surprised.
Mikhail. Exactly. And McKyle, like great point because like talking about the squad, right? Like in Arsenal squad, if I have to see, definitely Tierney is one of the strong elements. Like they definitely have Tierney as someone who definitely bleeds red and he plays for the club. It's so obvious that the crowd is also behind him and he has some kind of quality. But talking about the goal, getting back to the game, right? As in, I think Bobby mentioned quickly that Kovacic, took a few chances and he was kind of funny a couple of times. But the fact that I think from that 15th minute onwards, the pass that he made to Reece James, I think that is when probably Kovacic took over the midfield. Like for me, from the 15th to 45th minute, it was all Kovacic in midfield. Like I couldn't see any others. Like that pass itself opened them and probably changed it, right?
It was interesting today. It was funny that Jorginho and Kovacic started, but they had switched roles,
Yeah,
and Kovacic was playing the traditional
Arsenal.
Jorginho role, and
Yeah,
Jorginho was playing the Kante role, where he was just trying to be a destroyer all over the pitch, and
he
and
was
and
at
and,
the, he
and
was at the
struggling
final
with it.
third as well. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, no, struggling with it perhaps, and that's where you kind of appreciate what Kante brings to the game, because he was trying to be a Kante and he just doesn't have those legs. But it was nice to see him trying something different, and hats off to Tuchel for having the courage to try that. And then, like you're saying, hats off to Kovacic to actually find that pass in the right moment and set up that movement that resulted in a 15-minute goal. And that's kind of sort of segues into having a real number 9 up top suddenly brings to the club. We get that chance without Lukaku. We see game in game out going to waste.
True,
So
very
it,
true.
it was encouraging to see him actually take one and put it in the back of the net. And the storyline of Lukaku and the 10 years since his first debut with the club and finally getting a goal in Chelsea colours. The trappings of that were amazing, but also just the efficiency of what a number 9 should be able to do with a first touch or a second touch. So it was encouraging to see that. And Kovacic has his strengths and he has his not so
Yeah,
strong areas, and we kind of have learned to appreciate him for what he does well, as opposed to his shortcomings, like Bobby was mentioning. I think he's been hypnotized. He just cannot hit target ever. But it's always rosy. Um, but
yeah.
but it was good to see him, like you're saying, in that first half, actually stepping into the pocket with the ball and progressing the ball forward time after time after time. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I have to say, Videep is an Arsenal fan, and like Stevens, echoing as well. Like, definitely, it's unfortunately become a joke. And yes,
It is a joke.
you're right. And I believe next week's fixture will give an indication whether Chelsea are favorites to win the league this year. Yes. So, Bobby, I'll quickly come to you
Yeah,
because we saw, like, obviously we're talking about the game first, and but we have to step into like the next week's fixture because obviously it's
yeah,
Liverpool, Chelsea, and obviously at this point in time, I think we are only among the two of the five teams who have two of the four teams who have won both the matches, right? As in, it's top two basically, right? I know it's
yeah.
early, days, but still, like Liverpool for you, the first 11. If you just see the first 11 versus our first 11, right? As in, do you see us beating them at this point in time?
This is going to be a very interesting game for me because Liverpool have their injured defenders back. And for me, this will gauge where we are now. I think as a team, we are almost complete because of the arrival of Lukaku. I still think we need that fourth midfielder, certainly in the CDM position, but
Mm-hmm.
we're looking more complete and we're looking stronger. I think we're very capable of beating them. I really do. Lukaku will make a lot of difference because I was amused when I always watch Sky Football punditry with the volume turned down, especially during games because I don't like the way they talk about Chelsea. But at the end of the game, I just
Do
couldn't
you like
resist.
about the way they talk about anyone? To be honest,
I just couldn't resist listening to them try and talk of how to nullify Lukaku, and it amused
mm.
me because everything they said was just folly. If you do this, he's going to do this. If you do this, he's going to do this. If you bring two men
Yeah,
on him, you're freeing up the others. And that's
Yeah.
the position we want to be. Liverpool's a big test. You know, they are also a complete side. They've been together longer than us, and it's at Anfield. But we beat them at Anfield last season. I
Yeah,
think, although
the only thing you've got a problem with Anfield now is that Anfield got their fans back, which makes
pe-
it like a fortress. Their
people
fans,
say that,
they,
people,
they do. You saw the difference last season, the season before. They were dominant all the way for the season last season.
Yeah.
The season, the one they won the year they won the league. Luckily, that the league wrapped up by the time COVID hit, because they were so dominant until COVID hit, and then once got fans back in the stadium, they started dropping off, and you
Yeah.
saw the decline
yeah.
gradually.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Liverpool is a very, very, very good side, and people speak of their fans. But you know, as a Chelsea fan, I have remembered many a strong Chelsea team too many times go to Anfield and turn them over. And I think if there's ever anyone at this point in time that can turn them over, fans or not, it will be this Chelsea team. If they have if this Chelsea team have their players fit and ready for that game, I don't think Liverpool will be feeling that confident.
See, I have
I
to
think
agree
it's
with
going
you,
to be
Bobby.
interesting.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, McKyle. Please go ahead.
No, Liverpool kind of fell off in form, but you know the recent Champions League winners themselves, Premier League winners themselves. Chelsea is now the Champions League winner, so it almost becomes a test of levels. Every
Yeah.
single match, every single opposition will want to test their levels against. Okay, you know, let's see what these guys are about. Are they also hot? So every game this season for Chelsea is going to be a tougher than usual game, perhaps, just because of that fact that we will have that mark on us. That everybody will want to come at us. But you know what?
Absolutely. I tell you,
And
the game that will be blood and thunder, Man City.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always the one. But yeah, Stephen, like, because we're talking about the crowd, right? Obviously, Arsenal had a protest planned. I don't know if there were after effects of the
Just
protest,
want to
but what
give,
happened?
yeah. Well, first of all, Luca, we're not getting relegated, right? Stop overreacting. For a start,
Yeah,
it's not like if it gets that bad, then like surely they will get rid of him. Yeah, they're not a big up. She's definitely like me selling this. It's not going to be an easy game for Chelsea, but yeah, yeah, we had social media had a plan of a protest, right? We're going to protest because like Curtis Shaw TV said they're going to do it. Turkish said they're going to do it. Well, they did do it, but none of them turned up. 6 people turned up. All these people that go on Twitter run their mouth about I want Conkiel, put the hashtags in, I'm going to do the protest, blah 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 blah, and then you don't turn up to the game. And in fact, what you do is you queue up for this. You have a bigger queue for the shop than you have a queue to do the protest,
wow, that's a
right?
strong statement. Yeah, as in I get where you're coming from, because I
I,
think people are not taking the Arsenal seriously, right? As in that's how it's going,
that,
unfortunately.
no, they love to moan. They love to moan about our ownership and the way we are as a club and where we run as a club, but they don't want to do anything about it. You
Yeah,
bunch of snowflakes. I did something
yeah,
about it. I can't go to the game. I'm not physically able enough. So what did I do? I did a protest stream on my channel. I went on my channel
yeah,
and I did a protest stream. Now, if it means that now, because no one else is going to do it, I'm going to have to be the only one that goes down there, right, and shouts Conky outside the stadium, or so be it. But I'm doing my bit, right? And I'll ask every fan, if you're an Arsenal fan, you're doing your bit. Nah, you're not. Do you really care about Arsenal then, do you? The
it's
simple case.
funny
Do you love the club if you love the club enough, you'd want to try and get him out any way you can. Right?
that that's the
If you don't,
interesting thing is
it's like
sorry.
it's
Go ahead.
sorry. The reason we got rid of Emery is because there were no fans at the stadium. Right? They voted with their feet. The Frankfurt game was dead. It was empty. That's why they got rid of him the next day, because they knew they were losing money. That's why they also started making kits last season. So many kits last season, right? And by the way, I don't know why the goalkeeping kit was wearing an away kit today, right? If anyone looked at that, the goalkeeper was wearing our away shirt. not the goalkeeper shirt. But
Yeah, as in just
we're
see this
making,
comment, Steven. Like, so Anish is saying, like, how can you protest against an owner when you're buying merchandise, season tickets, etc.
that's what I'm
Like,
saying. They don't they sit there and they go, well, my 70 quid for a shirt's not really going to do anything. Mate, he earns billions, and I'm like, yeah, but every single person that thinks that in the club ends up being the millions that is made by the conkeys, because the millions of you that think that then go and buy the shirt, and that's how they end up with the sales, because you think it doesn't matter to you, you buy it, and then the next person says it and buy it, and before you know it, 2 million people in the fan base go, it doesn't matter if I buy it because my money doesn't matter because it's so small, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden you've made the money.
absolutely. And McKyle,
And
like,
then like I
yeah,
said, they care about Arsenal being in the black, in the black of profit. They don't care about us being top 4, top 6, top 10. Even if they could make money in the championship out of relegation, they couldn't care.
I
yeah,
think it's an interesting
absolutely.
dynamic to compare the two clubs, if I may. But Chelsea's ownership hierarchy is known to be ruthless in making those decisions to change managers, to the point where even the fan base get
Impatient kind of thing.
PTSD
Yeah,
that there's too many changes going on. But they have an idea in their mind that if that's what it takes to bring the dressing room on side, or to shake them back into
You do it.
higher form or fitness, then that's what they have to do. And then Arsenal over the years, even go back to Wenger's last 5 years, they just hung on to that situation way too longer than they should have. And then you kind of sort of get the feeling that it's a progression of that same mindset, where they let the situation get worse than they probably should before they step in to make a change. And that probably is what Arsenal is struggling with right now. That 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 philosophy or mentality from the board.
Arsenal fans think that everything's got to take 4 or 5 years. Well, if you're run successfully, no. Conte came into Inter when in 2 seasons he's won the league. He came into
yeah,
Chelsea when in 1 season he's won the league.
absolutely.
Right? So this bullshit that this BS you've got to say, and it's got to take 4 years for a process. What? No, I'm sorry, Klopp.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly.
And even
I
if you've got
I
a
agree with
process,
you.
and even if you've got a process, like Klopp did, what did they do? They got to European final in half a season. What did they do the next season? They got into top 6, top 4. What did they do next season? Get to a Champions League final. Then the next season they won it, and the next season won the league. That's progression. Even Man United, you could look at Man United and say, look at Ollie. They got 6th, then got to top 4, then got 3rd, then got 2nd. Now they're trying
Yeah.
to challenge for the league. All right, they stumbled against Southampton, but there's progression. What have we done? We've gone backwards.
All
We've gone
excuses made it. That's not,
every
yeah,
excuse under the
yeah,
sun. All I've heard now is like, oh, Arteta needs a season. He didn't have a season. I'm like, how do you not have a season? He had last season. Oh no, he needs a season with fans. I'm like, you want him to have a season with fans? Does he want to be murdered? Playing like that, like our
yeah.
fans will murder him. They won't stand for that.
Okay, let's make it a little bit positive, Steven. Like, I'll come to Bobby for the positive part, right? And then Bobby, we have to
Yeah,
talk
don't
about
come to me,
positives.
man.
Exactly. I just realized I can't, speak about anything positive right now with you. But Bobby, like, come on, like the game, Reece James, like, again, we just showed the team, and Reece James coming in, in that wing back. I think one of the complaints about Reece James was he doesn't take the man enough on the right wing. But the fact that he was given so much space by Tierney, as in, again, he used it to his advantage. And I think obviously he could have crossed a little bit more better, I feel. But he was time and again in that space and probably playing as a right winger. Is that something which pleased you the most? What is the most positive thing out of the first half, especially?
I never understand the criticism of Reece James. I think people forget how old he is and that he is very, very much a player in his evolution. It's just that he's an exceptional player in his evolution. I was very pleased with his game today. I was pleased with the position he played on the right with Aspie behind him. I have to say, I think Aspie Lots of people had a lot of praise for Aspie today
Yeah,
and Christensen. But I thought they were a little bit shaky. Yeah, they played well, but I thought they were a little bit shaky. But as for Reece James, I can't fault him. I think he can only get better. You know, the more we use that kid in those positions, and certainly as a wing back sometimes, the more he will develop in those positions. He's still learning his game. And
right.
we expect a lot from how old is Reece James? What, 21, 22?
I think it's 22 and turning 23. But yeah, then well
You
put
know,
there because it's just
we're
finishing as
still
well. He's
just
improved
starting.
on, right? Sorry, but what I was saying is like even the goal that he took, right? Again, in the past, like he's probably missed such chances to be very honest. But it's just that the confidence that the team were in that moment, him just taking that shot, is something of a positive because we have passed, to glory, right? We haven't like taken that shot. Like that is something that I would say is a definite positive sign, right?
Yeah, it's very positive. But, Reece always had that in his locker.
Yeah,
I wasn't surprised he could smash it in from there. He's got that. I think in the first game of last season, he did,
Brighton.
he did something like that against Brighton. So yeah, I've got nothing with Reece James. In fact, what has impressed me a lot about this team is that they are just that little further in their development. I think this is their second year, really. People like Reece, Mason Mount, and so on. Even our double pivot. And the understanding is there. Of course, they've got to understand Lukaku better, but I think we can be quietly but modestly optimistic. The game against Liverpool at Anfield, we've got nothing to fear, mate. Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely. Like, Steven is nodding his head. I don't know,
No,
Steven.
no, I've just listened to something like.
Okay. So,
You
Steven,
might want
like,
to. No, you might want to use this for banter. You might want to use this for banter, right?
yes, please share.
After, like, listen very carefully. I'll repeat this only once, as they say in hello, hello. In Arsenal club's history, from the first division, Premier League,
Yeah, I know
all
that.
its history, right? It is the first time in Arsenal club's history that Arsenal have had 0 points and 0 goals after 2 games.
Wow.
Absolutely. What a stat. Like, that's something as a trivia lover, like for me, I'm
And
having
we
this
all say
stat
trust the
ever.
process, eh?
Yeah, so sorry for smiling there, but Steven, I think you yourself agree, right? As in, this is something that I think, as in, they have to react. Like, I know the Brentford game reacting just after that was something, of an overreaction. But the fact that the second game nothing changes, and just the fact. But I have to definitely commend a couple of guys in Arsenal team as well. Like, McKyle said, like the beginning of the first half, they did get a good start in terms of opening us a few times. But for me, Lokonga, like I said previously, like, is a positive because he's a new signing, so he can only get better maybe. But for me, Emil Smith Rowe, right? As in this guy, I know you lot have, again, gotten Odegaard, but for me, Emil Smith Rowe can be really molded well if properly, coached. But what do you say about that? Because he actually created a few chances. Saka wasn't at his best, but I think Smith Rowe is probably a future.
Emil Smith. Emil Smith Rowe he's a developing talent. He just at the minute he's not. You can see by the look of him, he's not fully grown up yet. And if you played him week in week out, like he'll get burnt out after half a season. He's not a full season fitness yet. He still needs to sort of grow up a little bit in terms of physicality. But he's a good talent to have. That's why we needed another cam as a backup because
Yeah,
so he can share the load. Knowing Arteta though, he'll probably stick Miss Smith on the left and still play him while he plays on the guy in the middle, like because he doesn't want to play Martinelli or something. You know what I mean? It's just
Honestly, Ankit and Steve, I
yes,
don't. Arsenal, it's
big
not
up
the
to
board. The board are investing more than enough into the team. Arsenal simply have to change their manager. And what the problem is that they have a culture of hanging on to these people. It comes from their ex-players. You watch their ex-players going on about, oh, this manager needs 5 years, he needs time. It needs time. They gave Arsene Wenger flipping 28 years,
Bobby,
18
I'm
of
gonna
which he
sit
was fluffing his lines.
Bobby,
Change your manager. End of story.
send them
Yeah.
a signal through smoke, mate. Right, because I'm sitting there. I'm going to sit there all season,
Good one.
and all these Arteta-ins that are going to sit there and lose their crap, and then going to go Arteta out, Arteta out. I'm going to sit there and I'm go, told you so.
He needs to be
told you so.
changed. You know, he's out of
Right?
his depth.
Yeah.
He's like
Before anyone
Lampard
says-
was.
Before anyone says, I gave him a chance after the FA Cup, and he blew it. And he's not going to impress me one little bit, and he's not going to change my mind. Even if you got top 4, it still wouldn't impress me. You'd have to go and win it. You'd have to go and win the title now.
Well, as Chelsea fans, we can only enjoy the process, right? As in, that's all I can say. But McKyle, yeah, but let's get back to the game again, because I think, like we spoke about Arsenal positives and Chelsea had only positives. I was actually noting down literally, what were the kind of mistakes we made, and in the entire second half, McKyle, trust me, like we didn't make a single mistake. I think probably Mendy had one of those odd passes to Aspilicueta. I think entire second half there was no one unforced error, no, not even a single mistake. That was like
And
the
and
definition
why?
of professionalism. Yeah, yeah.
Do you know why?
Please tell.
Because you literally had to just like, don't have to do nothing now. Arsenal aren't going to do anything either.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
that.
what it is.
You could have sat. You could have sat on the side of the stadium, had a cup of tea, have a fag, right, and sit there and go, yeah, they're not going to score. When's it, mate? Yeah, okay. That could have been Tuchel. He didn't need to do anything. He was done.
Listen, it could have gone either. It could have gone a different route too. If that penalty was called, if that header had been on target, it could have been a different scoreline. So it wasn't all doom and gloom necessarily. Yes, Chelsea, after getting 2 first half goals, were able to just sit back and kind of let the game wind down, or let the clock wind down. I concur with that part, that it towards the end it started looking like that. But I did feel that we had a fault somewhere in there, the way we had set up for this game. Not necessarily overall, but just for this game, we looked different in how we were losing possession over and over in midfield, and that was a bit of something that was concerning me as the game progressed. That is Tuchel okay with seeing this? Is he going to make a change? We waited, I think, about 10 minutes before after Arsenal's changes before we made a substitution. I would have liked to have seen maybe Werner come on a little earlier and make them run back towards their own goal when they were pressuring us in our half a lot. So it didn't come. It came in the 88th minute. So Tuchel had his idea, his tactics, and it's always one of those things that what are his tactics? He always seems to have something new for every game, every opponent, to keep it fresh. As we saw with Kovacic, Jorginho, the dynamic in midfield today, where Kovacic was the center of all playing out from the back, and to just drive that point in, that a couple of times where we were kind of camped in our half, we were able to play out, and that kind of is probably has been the Chelsea's redeeming quality under Tuchel, is that we have found a way. Yes, we look shaky sometimes with those back passes in front of goal. I get nervous when I see them as well, especially with Mendy. He kind of waits a little bit longer than I want him to let go of the ball. And Arsenal were getting possession in midfield over and over and coming back at us. It did kind of make me wish for maybe a change in tact there. And we did put on Kante, and it did kind of help with that balance immediately. I felt a little bit more at ease when I was watching that, because in these kind of derby games, if Arsenal were to get 1 goal back, and it's a 1-goal game at that point, right? Now we're down to injury time, corners, headers, whatever. It could be anything. So while yes, I was satisfied with our first half goal return, I was wishing that we had played maybe slightly differently at some point in the second half than what it ended up being. But Tuchel was probably testing the team to see if they could actually see out a result from that point of view as well.
The beauty or the strength of Tuchel is that nobody knows what his tactics are, and he's very, very flexible. To be honest, I know exactly what you're saying, but I can see what he was doing, because at no point in that game was I worried. You know, sometimes you play a game and they're pressing you and you think, oh, crikey, we better hang on here. I never felt that, even when Arsenal was pressing. And I always felt that should they score, we'll just crank it up a bit more. I think sometimes what Tuchel does is he allows teams to feel that there's a weakness and to come charging forwards. Because Arsenal, for quite a bit of the game, especially in the first half, they wanted to play a low block. And they did to some extent until we scored. Then they had to come out a bit. And if we wanted to score more, which we could have done, we needed to entice them out more, to have confidence to come out more. So there's a lot he was doing there. I just think he is also trying to evolve his tactics, sharpen them up a bit more. And this was part of it. They were not to us
Excellent point.
today at all.
Plus
Excellent
also,
point.
you're also
This-
trying to adapt. You're trying to adapt the tactics to the addition of Longman Lukaku. Don't forget, it's his debut as well. So you're
Exactly.
trying to adapt
Exactly.
your play and your tactics, the way you go
Yeah,
about.
he wanted more
playing
minutes
soccer.
for Lukaku as well with the team and didn't want to make changes because of that reason. But
Yeah.
quickly, I'll just come in because I would like to ask the chat, right? As in chat, for you, what was the best moment of the game? Of course, I'm talking from a Chelsea's point of view, right? As in, yeah,
Full
because
time.
absolutely well said, Stephen, from the Arsenal point of view. But having said that, like for me,
Full
I would
time.
pick.
There's 36 games left after that.
No, but I would pick two moments, right? As in for me, I'll just put options to the chat, right? As in one was definitely the 1-2 that Alonso and Kai Havertz played, like fantastic. Like Kai Havertz, especially for the goal, of course, right? For Chelsea's second goal. And of course, with Kante coming on late, I think again I was noting down the brilliant plays that Chelsea had. And Kante, in spite of coming on only, I think for about 20 minutes, he was the man of the match of the second half. Like if you actually only see the second half, like he actually won, I think, balls, I think 3 or 4 times, and had a great run as well. So about he gets 5 points for just that for me. But yes, these were 2 points where I thought they were brilliant. And Alonso, I don't know, like he's probably going from strength to strength. Maybe because of Emerson leaving, is giving him back that mojo that he wanted. I don't know, like one of those maybe. But Bobby, in terms of the substitutions, right? As in quickly because one person who came back was pleasantly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. Was definitely Ziyech coming back after the injury that he did. Bobby, you see Ziyech starting. I know we're not doing a preview for Liverpool, but he has probably the game that no one else has. Would you actually play him much more with the runs that maybe Mason Mount was making? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, we're blessed with some talent there, aren't we? I'm glad we're sort of, if there is such a thing, saving Kante for Liverpool because we're going to need him in the middle. But Ziyech, 10 minutes, it was a good length of time to play him. Tuchel, many ways, is still in pre-season. And when he saw how weak Arsenal were, I think he toyed with a few things and moved a few things around and allowed the team to soak up a few things just to see how they would respond. Ziyech against Liverpool, yeah, we could put him there. The only concern I always have with Ziyech is his defensive work rate. Now, he proved me wrong against Villarreal until he got injured. He was tracking back a bit. But it's a tough choice to choose him ahead of Mount. It really is.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely, I agree with you there.
there's space for him. Second half, maybe start Mount. Come on, definitely Tuchel's going to do something that Liverpool won't expect.
Yeah. Having said that, like we've spoken about the game, a lot of things. I think probably now is the time to, just judge what happened after the game and what we actually assess overall, right? So let's move on to the final section, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I was to choose, I'll probably keep the entire squad if you're getting a winning run. But Steven, quickly, I'll start with you. I know not many positives again, but from Arsenal's point of view, someone who really stood out for you in the game that you would like to highlight.
The ref blowing the whistle.
The referee. Okay, I get that. But
No,
yeah,
no, no.
I think Lokonga was probably the one, right?
Yeah,
Because
I
he's
was gonna,
probably playing his second match. But
I was,
Tavares had a good I think impact when he
yeah.
came on, right?
I was gonna say, Tavares didn't really get a chance to do much for me. Lokonga was trying to make up for half the crap that Xhaka was doing. Give him a shout out, tell him part with that. Martinelli looked like he was trying to get in the game and actually try and be more involved in Aubameyang. Which again, Aubameyang turned up, and apart from one pass that was over here, that was
Yeah.
it. Never saw him. The guy, I knew as soon as he came on, I was like, well, that ain't good. Well, we've lost this then. Right?
Yeah.
And he
The
took
guy is coming
Saka,
after
and
COVID, right? So I
Saka
think
again trying to affect the game. And what does he do? He takes one of our best, most effective players, takes him off the pitch. Right? Instead of
absolutely, it was
throwing
astonishing
kitchen
for
sink.
me.
No,
Yeah.
it's like when he took off Willian for Aubameyang after he's hit the post and he needed a goal. Like,
Right. Absolutely.
but not everyone seems to forget that one, don't they? Like they just forget everything that he's done and say, "Oh, it's only 2 games, so it's only 1 game." It's two
Right.
seasons, mate. It's 17 years. It's 2 seasons. Right? How many more seasons do you want to keep saying that? Because before you know it, it'll be over 30 years before we win a title, and we still ain't got nowhere.
Yeah, as in fair points are definitely. I go with that as well. I was surprised by the substitutions, to be honest, at least the first one. Having said that, Steven, again, like, I know Arsenal have made a few signings. We spoke about a couple of, new signings for you already, but I think there are about 8 days left for the transfer window. Do you see something more happening, or that's it?
No, that's it.
So only outgoing that max, like probably Maitland Lines. I don't see him playing much, right? Do you, as in, see him
We
being
can't
in the
get
squad?
the thing is we can't get rid of our players because
Yeah,
A, we've put them onto our contracts, and B, we value them so highly. Right, 12 that we wouldn't let go of Xhaka for 12 million, and we triggered this extension because of it, and people saying that's acceptable. No, he's not worth 12 million. I want to pay 50p. Right, I would have rather paid £1 for Coca Cola, right, rather than buy him. Honestly, the guy is useless. Right? He's not worth triggering the extension. After what he did to that captain's armband, he should have never been allowed back at the club. But who begged him
as
to stay
in,
straight after that? Arteta.
that's
Who then begged him to stay again? Arteta. And who gave him back the captain's armband? Arteta.
it's
Come
kind
on.
of like an Alonso situation, right? Like Chelsea perspective, so Alonso's improvement comes down to the manager. Like I think probably Arteta here is probably trying to get back, Xhaka playing for the club, but again, it's not the right perspective, from the point of view of fans. I don't think is the right approach. But yes, true Gunnar is here, and yes, we deserved it. And sack this fraud manager and bring Conte in. Conte is not going to come here,
Brilliant.
mate. Like, and then I hope he doesn't go, but the fact that I think
If you offer
Arsenal
the money, he'll
are not
go.
spending right. Yeah, but they're not spending right. And they've not been spending right. It's not just the manager who takes all the decisions in Arsenal, like
I
Arsene
think
Wenger.
I do know that, but at a minute, Arteta's been getting the players he wants. So if you put Conte as a manager, he will quite actually. He will have the respect from the board to say, like, if I want that player, I want that player because he's that good. Like
Wow.
Arteta, you can't really judge whether you think he's actually a good player or not. I mean, he's let go Saliba for God's sake, and we're playing Holding and Marie. Like you're saying, Saliba's not any better than it. Come on.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
so
shocking.
yeah,
I think Ben White is great at what he brings to the team, right, in terms of attributes. But Saliba should have been kept again. Like, but great points there because I think
that's what I'm saying.
it's down to the manager, right? That's the conclusion from an Arsenal point of view. But Steven, I know you've got to go. We will
Yeah,
continue the conversation, but before that, I have to thank you. I know it's been a long time coming, guys. SFeatley TV, great channel. Not only the content, I think Steven is again another one of the supermen who always streams. He's always found on streams, and I ask him all the time, "How do you do that?" And the fact that I think the cause, right? I think Steven has a great cause that he runs a channel for. Donates a lot of it for charity, if I'm not wrong, and something that we all need to learn. And may just go ahead and plug in yourself. Anything that you would like to share about the channel, the conversation, the game, anything.
yeah, like you mentioned, it's just we do Arsenal, F1, Formula One content. So you can come banter us as much as you want, but mainly do football content to keep you sane. Um, but as you see, the hashtag CLDF stands for Children's Liver Disease Foundation. After having 6 liver transplants have been born with liver disease. It's my way of sort of giving back to the charity, because without the research, I wouldn't be here. So any way we can raise money by either joining our membership scheme, which is from as little as $1.99 a month to $8.99, or just watching, or even just watching, as well as doing a super chat. Just watching just helps raise money. So if you could do that, that'd be most appreciated, guys. And thanks for having us on. And make sure you
Yeah.
subscribe here.
Thanks, mate. Always big up to you. And yes, have a good time. We will meet again. Hopefully, we meet in one of the cups, and we can probably take more advantage of the situations in the match. Then that's what I can say. But yeah, as in, I don't want to kind of brag too much right now. Just the second game of the season, but all the best for the season, and hope to see you soon as well.
Yeah, Chelsea, I'll just put a Chelsea perspective. If you go on one of my videos, you will find the charities links in the description below in one of my videos on there. So
Yes,
followed
and
you back
the
as
links are
well.
all down.
Yeah, I followed you back as well on Twitter, so I'll keep an eye for those and find
Yeah,
out more
cheers.
about those charities that you're
Yes,
working.
please.
cheers.
Guys,
Thank you.
again, Steven's links are below, and big up to you. See you soon, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
Take care. Okay, and thanks again for Steven for taking the time. And we will obviously, discuss about the point number 2 and 3 of the match that we are here to review with the Chelsea fans. Now, I think it can be only happy kind of environment, hopefully. But yes, I'll come to Bobby. Bobby, let's pick the star of the match. I know man of the match went to Lukaku, but for me, I was kind of, really stuck between Lukaku, Kai Havertz and Mason Mount. I know Bobby's a huge fan of Kai Havertz as well, but Bobby, would you also go for Lukaku itself?
Yeah, I think you have to go for Lukaku. It's his first game back. He hasn't scored for Chelsea before. It was always a dream, a lot of spotlight on him, and he didn't put a foot wrong. So he deserves man of the match, certainly for this game. I think Kai Havertz is coming on leaps and bounds. He's a player. He really is. And he's showing it. He's a very close second to that man of the match spot, because he had a blinding game, in my opinion. And Mason Mount, his endeavour is always good for the team. I think Mason this season has to work on his shooting and his goal scoring. All these weak shots he takes is really not it. And after a while, you can't keep getting away with that. Last season, the season before, we could say he was developing. Well, he's really a mainstay in the Chelsea team. So now, all these sort of delicate shots he takes has to stop. So that's what ruined his game today. Overall, of course, his work rate for the team is excellent, but that's just the only downside. And you've got to find a downside in a almost spotless performance.
Absolutely. And McKyle, because of the fact that we are talking about the star of the match, right? Again, Mason Mount, the reason I highlighted is the fact that I think he's just starting his third game. Is he did not have a proper preseason as well, right? As in, for him to actually, perform at that level in just his third game, I think that was something commendable. But Mikhail, anything else that stood out in the match, or Chalobah not starting? Would you loan him, because now we are hearing that Zuma will stay as well, which is probably an option to go for the back in certain games, Mikhail. So what do you think?
I kind of concur with what Bobby was saying. I think, and you were saying Lukaku, I think has to be the man of the match for sure. That first goal settled our nerves and settled his own nerves, I'm sure, as well. So to keep a cool head and slot that chance in, I think that we needed to see that. He needed to do it, and he was great at the hold up play throughout the game. I think they need time to get used to each other's runs to kind of anticipate the pass from that point onwards. We kind of went into log jams once he was able to bring the ball down and pass it forward. We weren't always maximizing our chances. So, like you mentioned, Ziyech came on and showed a little more sharpness in that area for that final third and attacking the goal. So that's probably where I would say Mount was less than impressive, is that he didn't bring that sharpness or that directness to the game. And that's the difference when you think of Mount when compare him to somebody like a Lampard from yesteryears. Lampard knew when to change gears. When he was in that moment where he was within distance of goal, he knew how to change pace and become direct from just running around midfield. And Mount, you get the feeling, hasn't learned that yet. He still needs time to develop that instinct that, okay, now I have the ball, I'm not going to pass it. I'm the best option in this situation to actually shoot at goal. And there was a chance through the middle where he should have taken a shot, and I think he just squared it for somebody else, and nothing came of it. And a couple of other times as well. So I think if I were to be harsh on Mount for the match today performance, otherwise he was okay. I don't think we necessarily played to his strengths in this game. We were trying to play to Lukaku's strengths and how we wanted to play tactically with him up front. So he did okay. He did well. Like I said, I would have wanted to see Werner come on sooner, and maybe I would have taken Mount off to make that happen. Since Kai was being pretty effective by comparison, especially towards the final third, in possession with the ball, or at least in opening up the play for the other attackers once he was on the ball. So that would be my criticism, quote unquote, of Mount's game today. Otherwise, I think he was fine. He will take a few games, I think, to get back to his top level as well. So I'm not worried necessarily. I think it came down to tactics on the day, and the fact that we were 2 goals ahead. That Tuchel took his time with his substitutions. The Chalobah question that you raised, I want him staying. And I want Zuma staying too. So for me, if nothing happens, I think that's the best scenario, because then we have depth. Thiago Silva, we saw last season, he tends to have injury issues. So it's good to have him make an appearance every couple of games, and maybe we have to measure his time, game time now through this season, and maybe it's good to have a Chalobah in rotation as well. I think Zuma and Chalobah play probably in different sides of the pitch, so you can argue that Zuma tends to play on the left more under Tuchel than Chalobah would. So Chalobah being a right-sided player, I don't know. He's more a cover for a foil for Aspi and Reece James in my mind. Reece James, if you
not a DM.
Sorry.
Not a DM, you wouldn't consider him, because he I think Tuchel did mention the presser that if we really need, we'll get to that stage. But right now he's a CAB, right?
That's a good point, and I actually liked what he said. If it comes to it, let's look at that. Don't mix it up for him, because we saw in the David Luiz era, playing him in defensive midfield and then switching him back to center back. It confused him. It confused his game. He didn't know when to stop and stay back, and when to push forward anymore. And I don't want to for a young player to start getting his role confused this early in his career at a big club like Chelsea. If we want him to specialize for now and in the right center back position, I have no issues with that. Let's do that. But yes, if it comes down to injuries, especially with Gilmour having left already, you could argue we may have Ruben Loftus-Cheek available this season. I don't know. The window's not closed yet. Let's see how that situation develops. So we may have an option in midfield there that we didn't have last season. But push come to shove, if we need a DM, then you're right. That is an option. I just fingers crossed, hope it doesn't come to that.
Absolutely, another player obviously we saw today was a fantastic Bobby. I know again we did speak about him a couple months ago, Bobby, but this was Tino Livramento for Southampton. Again, he's not a player technically, but I think Southampton getting that draw against Man United, and for me, Livramento, yes, he was playing a proper attacking wing back. I think towards the second half, he was also moved to a right midfielder. But did Livramento show signs, if you saw the game, to possibly be brought back? I know it's just one game, but still, I think he really showed some class.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of going to go into the young player bracket now and speak about them. Livramento, I think we have a buyback clause on him, don't we? Pretty sure we would. He was impressive, and I think we've done the right thing to sell him off, to give him that security of having a permanent position in another team, but with the option to get him back should he develop to the level that is a Chelsea level, almost like we've done with Lukaku. Now, as far as Chalobah is concerned, I am 100% with McKyle on this. Under no circumstances should that guy go anywhere. And I don't think Tuchel will let him go. Because you've got to have strength in depth in this league and with the number of games we are going to have to play this season. Two, there are some players that have done their time away. It loses the value sending them away. They need to develop within the Chelsea structure to be part of the rotation, and he will get games. This is the first game he's missed all season. I know we've only played 3, but he's only missed 1. You never know. He might even play him against Liverpool. He's that much in the mix. So getting rid of Chalobah shouldn't be a question. Zuma, left to me, he should stay as well. But there's always this talk of Jules Koundé, who I don't know that well. And definitely, if Koundé comes, it seems likely that Zuma will be moving on to another club. But Chalobah, definitely, he has to be at this club because this is where his development will be. And I think too much is being made to sending away these youngsters. I mean, I've watched 2 games of Billy Gilmore. He's getting skinned. The first one, who was it that Norwich played and they were beaten? Was it 3-0? Their first game.
I think
Liverpool.
Was it Liverpool?
Yeah,
that's right, Liverpool. The first game, he a few good touches, but relatively he was skinned in the midfield. Then against Man City, he was totally skinned, and I'm thinking, well, what's he going to learn from this? This is just going to shatter his confidence because you see, Billy Gilmore has one deficiency, and I know a lot of Chelsea fans don't like to see it. They think, he's a Chelsea player, a few good touches and all that. Billy needs protection in the midfield. He's too small for the English game. Physicality is a problem. And it's just like with Fabregas. We couldn't put Fabregas in the middle with Kante, where they were always in trouble because of the lack of physicality. Billy needs somebody with him, and I don't know, these past 2 games, maybe, playing Liverpool and Man City is not really the best to develop a young player with. But I'm not happy seeing him getting exposed like that. I think if that's what's going to be happening to him, he would have been better off in a rotation system at Chelsea. But we'll wait and see how the season pans out.
I buy that totally, Bobby, because I think coming off the bench as someone who can impact the game or someone who can play against maybe the cup teams, right? As in that's something that Billy Gilmore would probably be better off at this point in time versus like with Norwich at max he'll play certain good games against mid-table teams, but again he'll not be getting to the next level with that. It's about game time, I know, but probably. I think Billy himself wanted to go, as in that's something that we'll have to think about as well, right? As in that's something that because I did see his parents were there actually at the Norwich game. I don't know if that's something to go by, but I'm just kind of putting it down out there.
I think he's going to come out with the better for the experience, regardless of how the season goes. There is an argument that we could have used that profile of player, like you said, to come on in at certain parts of the game and just show something different with the protection that Bobby's mentioning around him. And if you think back to not too long ago, a different manager, even players like Jorginho were being exposed day in day out, and were at the brink of possibly being let go. So it does show that tactics and the manager's willingness to protect the weaknesses of players has a big role in how they actually end up performing, not just over one game, but over the course of the season. Marcos Alonso is a huge point. If you expose Marcos Alonso, the fans will pretty much riot. Like he can be that bad. But if you play him well to his strengths by giving him protection in behind, understanding that he's probably not going to come behind the half line ever, then he has a role to play in that, giving you that width on the left flank. So I think it comes down to we have to also understand that he's a young kid, Billy Gilmore. He'll have good games and he'll have bad games. I think the idea to put him out on loan, like you said, maybe he wanted more game time too, is also for him to realize where he stands in the larger picture, right? People you there is a debate going on right now that the academy players are maybe having too high expectations of getting game time at the club. And what better way for them to put themselves to the test than actually go play for Premier League teams? It is what it is. It was a tough game to start with versus Liverpool, and the next game wasn't any easier either. So I wouldn't get too down, even if the
Right.
results didn't go their way.
And it's just the, like as you said, like beginning of the season. But yeah, addressing this question, Abhi, great question. That I
Yeah.
will not address this question right now though, because we are actually having a live preview. So guys, anyone watching, please tune in again. We are live on Friday, Friday at 5:30 UK time, and that would be a detailed Liverpool Chelsea preview, right? And for now we'll probably stick to that, but yeah, as in great conversations there. But I have to basically end the stream, Bobby and McKyle, with something. Just give me a second, I just want to share it before we actually end the stream. I had to do this, right? I mean, this is something that hopefully we'll get more of. But yes, I think you people can see this top of the table, right?
Yes.
Looks good. Look
Yeah,
better
I
in red,
hope
though.
we have to, exactly, we have to keep that momentum going. And I think we've had a tough start. I think a lot of clubs have a tough start to the season, but I think next week's game is very important for me, right? As in, that's something that's why I'm planning a big preview. Hopefully you all are there as well. And Bobby, McKyle, you are invited as well. Please participate. And I think among the other teams this weekend, I know that I think Leicester are yet to play, Leicester and West Ham. But Man United obviously, didn't capitalize on that second half after scoring that goal. But Man City, I don't think they can really be judged upon right now against Norwich, like the guys spoke about. Billy Gilmore and the likes. They are not there yet. So hopefully, we will see what really the table will take form, because this is too early to judge. But while we are on top, let's just enjoy and be there and stay there, hopefully with the performance that we have and the great squad. Because I think, like Abhi mentioned, like we've not even used Silva, right? So that's something only good. Chilwell is supposed to come back, and it was Lukaku's first game. So imagine what we can do when they're all in full fitness and form, right? So yeah, the great conversation again. I know it's been over an hour. Bobby, Mikhail, always pleasure speaking to you guys. But Bobby, any last thoughts?
Yeah, as you say, it's very early doors. We can't do more than we've done already, really. Yeah, being at the top is good. I would rather be at the top than at the bottom. But the important thing is to stay at the top. And at the end of May, if we're at the top, then we really would have had a fantastic season. We're capable of doing it, and we should be quietly, but shall I say, respectfully confident.
Yeah, fair point there. And guys, again, Bobby, always a pleasure to hear him. Great thoughts. And I think Bobby is also active on Twitter. So please go and follow him. His Twitter credentials are below. And Mikhail, any last thought from you? Anything that you would like to share about the game or the Liverpool game even? What do you think?
Firstly, thanks for having us on. It's fantastic to start the new season and in a good way. We're top of the table. Looking forward to the rest of the season. Looking forward to having a number 9 again. And that'll open up options for Thomas Tuchel that he hasn't had so far with Chelsea. So it's shaping up to be an exciting season. The next game will be tough. I don't think we're still at our peak fitness level as a group as yet. So it could go either way. Maybe they're not playing as well as they should either. But going to Liverpool is never easy, so it's going to be a tough game, and we're going to be psyched for it for sure.
Absolutely, and great conversation that we've had. But yes, looking forward to the season. A lot of other streams that we are planning, and of course the trivia series will be back, guys. So anyone who's like the trivia series, I know Mikhail is an active part, and Bobby is someone that I'm working on with to come on that trivia series as well, and a few people in the chat. And yeah, just like we are ending, Josh is here. And yes, we are the real deal for now, and hopefully we stay that way, especially against Liverpool to begin with. And then yes, let's see how it goes. But Josh, big up to you, and yeah, as in. Big up to everyone in the chat. There are a few people in the chat, like you all are saying, they have channels of their own. Chelsea Perspective, great channel. Josh has a great channel as well. I think it's part of the Blue Podcast, where I also, do a show with them and Chelsea Perspective. So please go and check them out. And of course, I think Miss Eleanor has a channel. So I would request you all to please take a moment, just subscribe to them. And of course, RCBian Chelsea Fan TV. All the links are below. It's just a press of a button, right? And we will be back with more content. And this is just the beginning of the season. Till then, have a good one. Thank you, everyone, once again.
Thanks,
Take care,
guys.
guys. Thank you.